So let's go ahead and get started tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to begin by welcoming all of you in attendance, and thank you for supporting our community and our school district. Madison Valley Education Association is hosting this event this evening, and we'd like to thank the 5 candidates here for taking this opportunity to express their views to the community. Our candidates in front of you, we have Paul Bills to my left here, Laura Blake, Marilyn Jenkins, Christian Peterson, and Erica Pittman. My name is Cole Cabin. I'm a teacher here at Ennis High School, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity to moderate the school board forum. The schedule this evening will be much like last year. We will begin with questions prepared by MVEA. All candidates have been provided with these questions prior to tonight. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. Wendy and Mr. McKittrick will be keeping time. They do have a sign in front of them. They will give you a 30-second heads up to go ahead and wrap up your question. If we do get to our 2-minute time limit and you are mid-thought, go ahead and finish that thought and we'll move to the next candidate. After we get through our prepared questions, we'll open this up to the audience. We'll take a short intermission and come back and we'll allow the community then to ask our candidates questions. All right. So we are, our order, everybody is just in alphabetical order right here. So our first question will go to Mr. Bills. Our first question here for all you candidates as well, take this opportunity to introduce yourself to the community, who you are, a little bit of background of yourself, and also along with your introduction, could you please establish how long that you've lived in this community and what activities are or have you been involved in within the community. Mr. Bills, your time begins now.
My name is Paul Bills. I have lived here for 14 years. I taught school here for 13 years, taught school for 13 years in Bridger, Montana. I like to fish, I like to get outdoors, I like spending time with family more than anything else. I love getting together with coworkers. I think that's important. There's a lot bigger things in life than just work. I currently work for the Department of Revenue. I'm a state employee, so I went from one fire into another. But as far as community involvement, you know, when I taught, I didn't have time. I've spent 100 hours here, teaching, coaching, ADing, tournaments, things like that. So I've been out of it for about 4 years, and I just think it's important to give something back to the community that is given to you.
Thank you, Mr. Bills. We'll now send it over to Ms. Blake. Ms. Blake, can you please introduce yourself and how long have you lived in the community and what activities are or have you been involved in?
Hi, my name is Laura Blake. I'm a Montana native. I was born and raised in Belgrade over the hill when it was a small town, so that ages me a little bit. I graduated from Belgrade High and then I went to Montana Tech.
The question, we'll start with Ms. Blake. Why did you decide to run for the school board and what do you see as a primary role of this board? Your time starts now.
Ready? Okay. I'm running to keep small town America and it's what it is. I like the small town America values that are here in this school system, and they're the same ones that I grew up with, and they're the ones that I want to keep for my kids and the kids that are here in Ennis. People are moving to small town Americas from everywhere to all the small town Americas everywhere else in the country. They're escaping COVID, they're escaping government policies, they're escaping not so stellar public schools, and so we're seeing an influx of a lot of new students from all over and all kinds of different backgrounds. That big city life and those policies are not where people want to raise their kids anymore, and small town Americas like Ennis are where they do want to raise their kids, and that's why I want to keep it the way it is. I'll strive to keep it that way. I want a wholesome, true education given to our kids. I really disagree with critical race theory and radical ideologies that are being introduced in a lot of other schools in the country, and I oppose those and would stand against those in any shape or form being introduced into our school. We have a group of teachers that have high expectations for kids, and they clearly love their jobs and they clearly love the kids that they teach. and I want to keep it that way. We have a small town community where everyone helps each other. We hold the door open for the next person. We say our pleases and thank yous. We help people take their carts back to the grocery store if someone needs it. And that's where I was raised, and that's how I want it to be for my kids. I think it's our job to raise our children to be successful adults and I just value I value the parents' role, and that's why I've been in the school board meetings the whole last year to try to speak for parents that had concerns about the things that were going on in the community, and I'll stop there.
Thank you, Ms. Blake. All right, we'll go over to Ms. Jenkins here. Ms. Jenkins, why did you decide to run for the school board? What do you see as the primary role of this board? My timekeeper's ready? Time begins now.
I had been approached before many times and wasn't quite ready. Once I retired, I needed to reorient a little. So I have had some people approach me again, and I think it is time. I've always had an active interest in education, obviously. I taught 29 years in this school. I have 4 children who graduated from this school. I have 5 children, grandchildren, who are still in school, and 3 who have graduated, and I know what a good system it is. I understand the priorities, and I'm hoping that by running, I will be able to help do what a board is primarily supposed to do, which is to give some citizen input and control to the school, and also to make sure that each one of our students receives what is necessary so that when they graduate, they will be productive members of society.
Thank you. Mr. Peterson, same question to you. Why did you decide to run for the school board, and what do you see as the primary role of this board?
So I decided to run for the school board to bridge the gap with the empty nesters and the tax-paying citizens in this district to pay attention to our school and support it. Even though we don't have kids, the school needs support from every single taxpayer in this district. It's all too often that people say that they, since they don't have kids, they don't need to pay attention, and that is wrong. Our children are our future. This school historically has produced amazing children, thanks to the teachers and the guidance from the previous councils or board. They have gone out into the world, and they are an absolute prize to have, that they take our values from our small town out into the world. Rather than having the influence of the outside big cities come to Ennis and tell us how to run it, we're going to send our kids that are fine out into the world, and they're going to show them how we run it here in Ennis. The main, what was the second question, sorry?
What do you see as your primary role on the board?
Primary role is to obviously maintain the policies that are already in place, make changes if needed, give support to the superintendent, and also listen to the parents when they have concerns. The parents, or the child's parents, have a right to say what they feel is necessary in the school, and their voice absolutely has to be heard. As well as we need to support our teachers, not only with their pay, by going to the state legislature, but also housing for the other teachers. They need great support.
Thank you. Ms. Pittman, why did you decide to run for the school board, and what do you see as the primary role of this board?
So, Ennis schools are a big part of the reason why my family relocated here. As my fellow candidates have said, we've got really great schools. We have teachers who care. We have an outsized number of programs for how small our town is that give our kids so much opportunity, which is really amazing. And as we grow as a community, and as we evolve as a community, I want to make sure we keep that. Like Laura said, we teach our kids strong morals, ethics, and values. You don't see that in bigger cities. You don't see that in other places. I want to make sure that we are maintaining that for our kids. But like any district, there are things that we need to address. As we'll talk about later, Montana's teachers are the lowest paid in the United States. That is absolutely unacceptable, especially with the rising cost of living in a place like Ennis. We need a school board that's going to go to the state and the national level to fight for our teachers and help them. We also need a school board that's going to think outside the box, think creatively to find additional ways to supplement teacher salaries and to entice, retain, and recruit good educators and staff members to stay here. As I think about the board, like Christian said, it should be a representative of our students, our parents, our families, and our community members. This Ennis community is unlike many other in how willing our community is to give back to our school. I want to embrace that, and I want our board to extend opportunities to our community to be involved and listen to our parents and our fellow Ennis neighbors and residents. My goal as a board member would be to work alongside my neighbors, fellow parents, and fellow board members to make sure that we're fighting for our kids at every step of the way.
Thank you, and now we will conclude this round with Mr. Bills. Mr. Bills, are you knowledgeable of, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Mr. Bills, why did you decide to run for the school board, and what do you see as a primary role of the board?
I decided to run for the school board, like I said earlier, because you need to give back to the community. How many of us give back to the community? Look what the Lions Club does. Look what the Women's Club does. Look what the organizations, the church community, look what they do in this town, and it's the only reason it survives. It's the only reason it stays the way it is. If we don't give back, then we're just taking advantage. And so I think it's important to give back. I was also approached by a few different people, and I've always said no. Much like Marilyn, I needed to get away. I put 26 years into education, loved every second of it, and then retired. And I think it's better that you step away from it for a while and then come back. I love this school. I love the teachers from this school. I work with most of the teachers here. Not all of them, some of them are young. I don't know them from Adam. But I've worked with a lot of them here. And you can't find better people. And that's because of what previous boards and what previous administration has done. They've hired the right people. Don't hire the right people, then it doesn't work. As far as role of a board member, I don't have an agenda. I'm not trying to fire anybody. I'm not trying to hire anybody. I've got no outside influence. The main purpose of a school board member is to implement policy, make policy, hire a superintendent. I don't belong in a classroom, but hire people to do that. I don't belong, evaluating coaches. I did that. Don't want to do it anymore. That's why we hire people. Be neutral. I feel like we need more neutrality here. Be smart, use your money wisely, help the people you can.
Thank you, Mr. Bills. Are you knowledgeable of current school policies? Are you satisfied with them? And if not, what would you like to see changed?
And I guess I would start by saying is it working? Okay, after 29 years of teaching here, I should be knowledgeable of most of the school policies. Granted, I have not been in the school system for 6 years, so possibly there have been some changes. I also have an administrative degree, so I am knowledgeable about a lot of those policies. And while I worked here, I was the Title IX coordinator for years, so I have knowledge of some of the special policies within the school already too. And if there are new ones, there is a booklet. I know there's a reference book. As to the second part of the question, as in any profession or any business, we all understand that improvement can be made. We change and improve all our lives. And I have always seen this as something constructive. It's a constructive process. It has nothing to do with criticism. The one policy I would like to talk about is a good policy. It happens to be the open door policy for the community to come in and have activities here at the school with some restrictions and regulations. What I would like to see change there is that this same policy could be open to our students, especially our student athletes, gym-wise, in off-season and perhaps in the summertime. And part of the reason I would like this is because sports in any small community is a good interactive association between the community and between the school, and it's big. And I think with our open door policy that way, especially with the parent around, I know many schools in our district do it, so I'm sure that there is a possibility it could happen.
Thank you. We'll send that same question over to Mr. Peterson. Mr. Peterson, are you knowledgeable of current school policies? Are you satisfied with them? And if not, what would you like to see changed?
So the answer is no, I am not familiar with school policies. It's about this much paper. That would be my first thing to do is to learn those. Again, as Marilyn stated, any policies that need to be revisited and revised, obviously that would be the function of the board. But I can't comment on any because I'm not sure of what that would be.
Ms. Pittman, are you knowledgeable of current school policies? Are you satisfied with them? And if not, what would you like to see changed?
As a parent, I think I'm pretty up to speed on school policy. Of course, if I were to join the school board, I would make sure to educate myself on the, as Christian stated, the massive booklet, because it's big and there's a lot. I think, as the role of the board and as the responsibility of the board, policy is one of the primary things that the board needs to evaluate on an ongoing basis. Our world is evolving really quickly, and we are sending our kids out into a world that, where unprecedented events occur all the time, and there's a lot of social divisiveness in the world today, and we need to make sure that school policy allows for us to quickly, fairly, and effectively address any issues that come up in our school, that our policies are setting our kids up for success as they graduate out of schools and move out to become functioning members of society. I think that as we look at that, and sort of the first thing that I would really want to dive into, as I mentioned before, one of the biggest things I think we need to focus on as a board is recruiting and retaining great teachers and staff. So I want to make sure that our policies around recruiting, retention, teacher pay, staff pay, district transportation, all of the things that we've sort of struggled with this year, I think that's where I would start as I looked at policy as a school board member. And then of course talk to my fellow parents and community members to see where we should go next.
Mr. Bill, same question to you. Are you knowledgeable of current school policies? Are you satisfied with them? And if not, what would you like to see changed?
I used to be pretty up on the policies for a lot of years. I got these 2 years on Maryland, I guess, but things change. Policies are put into place to fix a situation. If it's not broke, why change? It's what happens in the school. Everybody says, what great things happen in the school. I totally agree. So are we going to make policy to keep change from coming? It's inevitable. It's going to happen. That's when we step in. There isn't a single policy in that handbook that has not been put into place because a situation arises. A situation will arise. That's why we're here. If we have to put a policy in to fix the situation, great. If we don't, why would we? What we have here is good. Why change? It might be forced down our throat, but what are you going to do? Am I satisfied with them? Sure, I am. I think for the most part, people are pretty happy with the school. If they weren't, there'd be a lot more changes going on. I'm not afraid of what's coming. I think that's where people get out of whack. Worry about it when it gets here. There's some issues that we have to address. Absolutely, school housing, teacher pay. I've sat enough of these and listened to enough board members say that was going to change. But there's certain ways to go about doing it. So the policies, you bet. If it's not broke, don't fix it. Or if it isn't broke, don't fix it.
And we'll go and wrap this round up with Ms. Blake. Ms. Blake, are you knowledgeable of current school policies? Are you satisfied with them? And if not, what would you like to see changed?
For the most part, I think policies are put in place for a reason, and they're usually put in place for a good reason. Like all the other candidates said, we don't have policies just to have policies. There's usually a need for a certain policy. There's a lot of policies. It's a pretty big stack to be familiar with, and so that is where I definitely have a little bit of a weakness. But I do have a commitment to keep looking for ways to make the policies better serve our kids and better serve the parents of the community that has those kids in this school. I would keep untangling the COVID policies for the things that are no longer necessary. But other than that, I think the policies that are in place are good, and they're good, and they're for a good reason.
Okay, thank you. My next question will be directed